There's a market shed out behind the garage. Does that sound more familiar? Tom, in Round Point?
No, I mean, I don't know. I will say that having grown up in Arundequoit, and like I said, my mother lives about a half a mile down Titus Avenue from the town hall. So when the weather's good and we walk, and she's a lot faster walking than I am at 87 years old, we go by town hall, and if it's Wednesday at 5:30, farmers market. You know, they have the 4th of July celebration.
Oh, they have
This
a
is,
lot
you
there,
know,
but they have an
but that's
indoor
a
and an outdoor
town
one.
hall. But they have one at their DPW garage?
I
Thank
know,
you,
what
Pat.
I'm saying
Have a
is
good
not,
night.
see you, Pat, it's not, it's behind the garage, they actually have an indoor market shed,
At the DPW garage?
right behind it, on Kings Highway, Kings and Titus, right behind. the
Oh, that's not
library.
the DPW garage. Their DPW garage you see at 590 when you're about to dump onto the Bay
Yeah.
Bridge. That's not town hall.
So that's a different garage, is that an old garage?
The one that's at 590, whatever, that's the one they built about 10 years ago, when the other one that was on the town hall campus burned down. What's left on the town hall campus behind there, I don't know, but that's,
That might be it, so I take it back, but it would still be nice to do something indoors if we could,
yeah.
with the space.
Are we ready?
Yep, we're ready.
All righty. All right. Well, if you're saying we're ready, we'll welcome everybody to the Thursday, February 20th, 2025 Webster Town Board meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Deneen, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Carey,
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi, present. Councilwoman Wynn,
Here.
Councilwoman Wright,
Here.
Attorney to the Town Taylor.
Here. All right, I'm gonna guess, unless Les, you wanna take the podium tonight, the weather is kind of
Let's beat it.
scared people away. So I think our open to the floor, each speaker allowed 5 minutes. Well, we have a supply for it, but we don't look like we have a demand for it, so we're gonna move on. And the next item up is the meeting minutes. We only had a regular board meeting 2 weeks ago on February 6th. We didn't have a workshop. I reviewed those meetings and I make a motion that we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
All right. Is Ginny pinch hitting for Jen or Jen pinch hitting for Jim? Right, okay.
Okay, I reviewed over the budget and they seem to be in order. I would like to make a motion to pay the bills, please.
Second.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
And I have reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, Director of Finance, and make a motion we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And I've reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, Director of Finance, and make a motion we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Cataldi. Aye. Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
All right, Paul, these are 4 and 5 is kind of your, if you want to give a brief explanation.
Budget transfers, these are for 2024. A number of small transfers on the expense side. Some of the larger ones actually involve compliance with what's known as GASB 87, where we have to move some of our lease expenditures to debt service, principal and interest. So there was a reclass entry which caused some budget transfers. On the revenue side, the revenue for the school resource officer was lower than expected because the police department was understaffed. So for part of the year, we only had 1 officer at the district versus 2. So we made a move for that. And then there's an amendment for some easement monitoring fees, it's only $500. And also the Candlewood Park District got a head start on some paving of their trails, so we have to do a budget transfer just to cover that, even itself out in 2025. So that's the most of it.
Okay, any questions?
No.
No, thank you, Paul.
We usually have Councilman Cahill do this, this is finance, and he's the liaison, but if you don't mind, I'll pinch hit for him tonight. I make a motion to approve the 2024 budget transfers presented by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright, Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And I make a motion to approve the 2024 budget amendments as presented by Paul Adams, Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Okay, before we get to the next one, I just want to say that, what's today, February 20th. So in about 40 days, it will be the end of the quarter, March 31st. So I would imagine the auditors will pretty much be done with their 2024 financial audit of the town. This past week, Paul, I was very happy, I think it was this past week, you sent out to the board just preliminary numbers that, you know, these aren't final because the auditor's got to come and do it. But the preliminary numbers show that we performed better as an organization financially in 2024. Revenues better than budget, expenses lower than budget by $5 million?
That's correct.
Okay.
We
That
had a lot of interest
continues.
earnings.
Pardon?
A
Pardon?
lot of interest earnings.
Yeah.
I budget conservatively on interest because you never know when the rates are going to go back. And we've been making a lot of interest.
Yep. And as I've been saying, you know, that when that audit is done and we know exactly going into April, instead of having to bring money out of the fund balances to make ends meet in the 24 budget, we actually are going to put money back in. More money will, the fund balances will build.
Right.
And when that happens, when this board and the departments go to do the 26 budget, we will have to utilize our fund balance policy that Paul brought to this board a couple of years ago. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to do a future budget in 2026 when the 24 actuals were $5 million better than what we budgeted.
Definitely helps.
Yeah. So I also thought I'd give you a little rest and so the next one, I guess, Kyle, I know you and I have been going back and forth on this, and I think I have let the board know, I think we're in good shape on this one. So, do you want to give any words on this?
To the extent the board is familiar with it, when Charlie retired, he had expressed a desire to continue to represent the town in the Article 7s and appearance for the grievance board. And I think Donna Comar also desired to continue that relationship. So we've worked out an engagement agreement with Charlie to keep him on board to handle those tasks. And so there's a resolution before the board tonight to authorize the supervisor to sign that engagement.
And I want to comment on that. I think I'm correct in this, but these two items where Charlie represented the town were really outside of the scope of his town attorney duties. Is that correct? They were in addition to.
That is correct.
So they also transferring over to you as attorney to the town are not necessarily in your scope of services that you'd be providing. So Charlie will continue to provide those, but just kind of pulling it apart.
Correct.
And then to that point, Patty, Paul had, along with Donna Comar's assessment, I mean, you had already been keeping track for years of how much extra, if you want to call it, Charlie was paid outside the scope of being the general town attorney for that, I'll call it the May to July assessment season work that he did.
Right.
So we had that as a point of reference as we looked at this contract and hours and bill rates and all that. So
Yeah, separate
Spot on.
GL accounts we use to track
So I would move to authorize the supervisor to sign an engagement agreement for town council legal services related to Article 7 tax matters and Board of Assessment review matters in 2025 with Charles J. Genesi Esquire.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn, Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
I think, Kyle, we're good on this with a little adaptation next one. We're sitting in the building that needs the work.
Yeah, so a little adaptation, yes. Crosby Brownlee submitted a proposal to replace the HVAC in this building. Because of the, I guess, the urgent nature of it, we will be finalizing that contract, but it is not to exceed the amount that was provided in the proposal. And the proposal will also be piggybacking off of the contract that Crosby Brownlee has with Monroe County, and be subject to those terms and conditions.
So you think that whoever makes that motion should say not to exceed 64,700?
Correct.
I think the resolution we have in front of us says 65. Do you want to do it at the 64,
That would be correct.
799?
Here.
We just want to be sure we read it correctly. We're talking about a discrepancy of
Yep.
$201.
Yeah.
$201,000. $201.
Yeah, the resolution would be not to exceed the stated amount of $64,799.
I feel like Councilwoman Wynn should read this resolution because she's always the one who's attempting to change the temperature in this room because we're all freezing.
Oh, you caught me off guard. Yeah, was
I
looking
think
at
you
the-
should read it and get it going.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry, I did catch you off guard. Do you want me to?
Yeah. So we're doing number 7, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I would move to have authorize the supervisor to sign the Crosby Brownlee contract to replace the heating, hot water pumps, and associated modifications to reheat for the town court building for the amount not exceeding $64,799.
Second.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Well, the saga continues on this building.
Oh my goodness, every time we get something repaired, it breaks 2 months later
Yeah.
because it just was never properly sized.
Is this a Paul explanation? Is this a Kyle?
I can take this one also, Supervisor. Donna brought this to my attention. There's a property in town, doesn't have a street number, but it is on Ridge Road, and it has the parcel ID there in the resolution. But the original owner had entered into an open space preservation agreement with the town back in 2008. And the agreement that is filed with the Monroe County Clerk at paragraph 9 says that if the property is transferred to a new owner, that an amended agreement will be filed just identifying the new owner. So the resolution is simply to provide the supervisory authorization to sign an amended agreement which will identify that new owner, and then will be filed in the Monroe County Clerk's office. Just so the board is aware, this program was repealed, but any agreements that are in place are still effective until the termination date, and the termination date on this agreement is March of 2027. All other terms of the agreement will remain the same.
Makes complete sense.
I have a technical question. If the new owner were to choose to opt out of that open space preservation agreement, are they then required to pay all the back taxes?
That is a great question. I do not know the answer.
I don't know how that worked.
I don't know
Just-
if they can opt out of it, but I don't know if they are
Yeah, if there's
subject
any-
to it.
Penalty for that.
Okay, we'll look into that.
I would move to authorize the supervisor to sign an amended open space preservation agreement identifying the new property owner for parcel 080.02-2-52 Ridge Road.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
We're authorizing you to do an awful lot tonight, Mr.
I'm
Supervisor.
scared.
This one is, I don't want to say it's housekeeping, but this is something we do annually. So I would move to authorize the town supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement and funding with Monroe County for the Stop DWI programs.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Well, this one's mine again, and no one wants to listen to me read all of these assets that are being surplused and being recycled from the sewer department. So I would move that we approve the following items for recycling as listed in our agendas this evening.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And I move to approve the following items for recycling from the highway department. And I can read mine even though they are in the agenda. It's a file cabinet and a weather system. I don't know, what's a weather system?
I don't know.
I guess we'll never know it's being recycled.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Well, I almost thought that Josh Artuso would be here tonight to, click a champagne glass that we before the end of February, we did finally get this tabled item of appointing certain members to the zoning board of appeals taken care of after several back and forth iterations on this and different interviews and whatever. I think you have the resumes that were sent over on these two gentlemen. I just want to make sure, Deneen, I know that the one resolution to appoint the alternate is finishing a term that expires on 12/31/25. The one, and I had it in an email for the full board member, they're finishing a term also, I think. It ends on 12/31/28. Okay, so, unless anybody has any questions on this, I'm gonna read these out. I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Anthony Mascarad as an alternate to the zoning board of appeals, finishing Jim Spampanato's term that expires on December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Okay, and this is where, I can't remember whose term that Adam is finishing, but it does expire on 12/31/28, so I don't know how specific I have to get whose term it is. Well, I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Adam Prescott as a full-time member of the zoning board of appeals, finishing a term that was vacated, that expires on December 31st, 2028.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
I want to get ahead of myself, but we now have 5 zoning board members full. We have 1 alternate. We have 1 open alternate position. We interviewed a gentleman yesterday that Josh and I are very high on. We're gonna talk to Michael Short, the zoning board chair, and it's very possible that by March 6th, we'll be back to appointing that gentleman. And so for the Tuesday, March 11th zoning board meeting, we'll have a new full member and 2 new alternates. And I gotta tell you something, that alternate program, that this board really kind of picked up and adopted a new version of it back in early '23. Alternates. The zoning board right now, the chair, Michael Short, the chair of the zoning board, came through the alternate position in the last 2.5 years. I think Josh and I were looking at this, 3 members of the zoning board right now came through the alternate position. So it was a very good move of us to create those 2 positions.
That's a win-win for everybody.
It really,
Yeah.
you know, it gets new talent in, we get to see, and as things change, people move, this, that. It's kind of nice that you had 3 or 4 or 6 months of how they operate as an alternate, which they have the same exact duties as a full member. So it's easy for then Josh and Michael Short to say, oh yeah, let's just move them into the full position, so.
It also gives them an opportunity to experience it, and before they're committing to some of these longer terms on these boards,
Yes.
they may find it doesn't fit for them. So it's good.
Yep, it worked out pretty good. So that is the formal part of our meeting tonight. Not too shabby. I guess we can do round table, right? Denise? Let's look at you early. We'll start with Paul.
There's no one else.
Yeah.
Well, I attended the New York State Association of Towns meeting earlier this week in New York City. It was very good as usual, excellent training. The business meeting involved passing 17 resolutions to encourage the governor to propose legislation. Some of the things proposed were declaring general ambulance service as an essential service.
Wow.
Yeah, that's important. Reform inequities in the real property tax cap formula. As you know, there's differences between the way the town calculates it and the way the school districts calculate it. And also to create a dedicated funding program for water and sewer infrastructure. So that was 3 of the 17, so there's some good things they're pushing for. Governor Hochul was there for the business meeting, and Senator Chuck Schumer was there for the opening ceremony, opening meeting, I should say. So it was good overall.
Sounds like it.
It was a little rough getting there.
How about
I drove down Saturday. We always stay in Middletown and then take the train the next morning. Took 7 hours to get to Middletown, normally 4 hours. But I've got snow tires, so it doesn't bother me.
How do you top that, Jen?
Stay home. Stay home. My husband's cousin is a tow truck driver. I put that on Facebook. Please, everybody, just stay home. I think that the town's done a commendable job of taking care of the roads. It's been tough. Pat said they are still a little snowy, but there's not much you can do when it takes 4 hours to get from one end of the town to the other, and snow's coming down 2 to 3 inches at a time. But drive careful and stay home and go out.
We agree, and I was going to comment, we were talking about mailboxes. I actually rode in a snowplow run, I think it was last year or the year before. I'm absolutely amazed at what our highway department does. And my comment was that if I were driving that truck, there wouldn't be one mailbox left in the town. So, you know, they do it with the utmost of caution and care. And, yeah, I want to thank them as well for everything they're doing.
Kyle, you're not a rookie anymore, you're a veteran.
I think maybe almost 2 months in now, finding my footing. I'm really impressed with the couple of projects I've seen, the highway department and the sewer department. Those are tremendous projects. to you and Kim for their assistance and their patience and work as I figure out what to do here with you guys. Same thing with Paul and his team. We're off to a good start.
Definitely, and I mean, the department heads unsolicited to come up to me and said, you know, Kyle is great, and good start. I like hearing that. Usually they would come up to me to complain about things. Anyway,
I'm very happy about that too. I'm very pleased with how that went and the decision, and we're very happy to have you here.
I have to say, everyone has made it as easy as possible, right? Everyone's on top of their game, and it certainly makes it, like, the term much easier than this things.
well, I usually don't talk at the round table, but I gotta say, I feel bad for Kyle, because he'll stop in during office hours, which are right now are Tuesday, Thursday. He'll stop in and say to Kim Doyle in the office, hey, can I just talk to Supervisor Friday for a second? He stops in for what's supposed to be a second. The poor son of a gun gets stuck with me and my verbosity, and the guy walks out, he's got a shave, he's got a full beard, he was there for 2 hours. It's terrible, you know, I feel bad. But he's very patient. I've been appreciative of that. Jenny?
Well, glad to have you on board, you know, hometown's always the best, you already know everything. And anyway, well, good evening, friends, and thank you so much for everyone that is watching the session at home. Just nobody hears us. Thank you for viewing it. And also, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all veterans and all the men and women in uniforms. Also, I would like to encourage everyone to come and visit our Webster Library and Webster Museum. We have a hidden gem in the village of Webster. So think about, support those places. They exist because of you. And I'm very fortunate too that I've embraced 2 wonderful cultures in my life, American and Asian. We just celebrate our Lunar New Year and the Year of the Snake. I want to wish everyone, you know, a wonderful, happy, healthy New Year and prosperity as well. We're fortunate, and I'm blessed, and I appreciate God giving us opportunity to be here in this wonderful country and this wonderful community. Embrace everyone. We're all children of God, so have a good night, and God bless America.
Thanks, Jenny. Well, Denise, we're gonna end with you.
So we're still continuing to receive town and county tax payments at the town clerk's office for those that have chosen to pay with installment payments. So, you know, mailing them in and using our Dropbox at town hall. That's about it.
You are very efficient. I came in to process my taxes. I saw so many cars in the parking lot, people walking in, and I was in line for no more than 3 or 5 minutes. Very fast and efficient. Thank you.
Well, let's get you home early tonight. And without further ado, I guess this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, sir. Not bad. Huh? We got
So before I
8:07.
came here, Mike didn't come home from work today. I watched one of the Around Point. I started watching one of the Around Point board meetings.
Yeah, Rory showed me